Okay, we're live. Bismillah. Carry on.
نعم بسم الله شيخ أحمد.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. قال معاذ الله أن نأخذ إلا من وجدنا متاعنا عنده قال معاذ الله أن نأخذ إلا من وجدنا متاعنا عنده إنا إذا لظالمون.
I seek refuge with Allah from Satan the accursed. He said, Allah forbid that we should take anyone but he with whom we found our property. Indeed, if we did so, we would be from the wrongdoers.
فلما استيئسوا منه خلصوا نجيا قال كبيرهم ألم تعلموا أن أباكم قد أخذ عليكم موثقا من الله ومن قبل ما فرطتم في يوسف فلن أبرح الأرض حتى يأذن لي أبي أو يحكم الله لي وهو خير الحاكمين.
So when they despaired of him, they held a conference in private. The eldest among them said, Do you not know that your father did take an oath from you in Allah's name? And before this, you failed in your duty with Joseph. Therefore, I will not leave this land until my father permits me, or Allah decides my case by releasing Benjamin, and he is the best of the judges.
ارجعوا إلى أبيكم فقولوا يا أبانا إن ابنك سرق وما شهدنا إلا بما علمنا وما كنا للغيب حافظين.
Return to your father and say, O our father, verily your son Benjamin has stolen, and we testify not except according to what we know, and we could not know the unseen.
واسأل القرية التي كنا فيها والعير التي أقبلنا فيها وإنا لصادقون.
And ask the people of the town where we have been, and the caravan in which we returned, and indeed we are telling the truth.
قال بل سولت لكم أنفسكم أمرا فصبر جميل عسى الله أن يأتيني بهم جميعا إنه هو العليم الحكيم.
Jacob said, Nay, but your own selves have beguiled you into something. So patience is most fitting for me. Maybe Allah will bring them all back to me. Truly He is the only He is the all-knowing, the all-wise.
وتولى عنهم وقال يا أسفا على يوسف وابيضت عيناه من الحزن فهو كظيم.
And he turned away from them and said, Alas, my grief for Joseph, and he lost his sight because of the sorrow that he was suppressing.
قالوا تالله تفتأ تذكر يوسف حتى تكون حرضا أو تكون من الهالكين.
They said, "By Allah, you will never cease remembering Joseph until you become weak with old age, or until you are of the dead."
قال إنما أشكو بثي وحزني إلى الله وأعلم من الله ما لا تعلمون.
He said, "I only complain of my grief and sorrow to Allah, and I know from Allah that which you do not."
يا بني اذهبوا فتحسسوا من يوسف وأخيه ولا تيأسوا من روح الله إنه لا ييأس من روح الله إلا القوم الكافرون.
"O my sons, go and inquire about Joseph and his brother, and never give up hope of Allah's mercy. Certainly, no one despairs of Allah's mercy except the people who disbelieve."
فلما دخلوا عليه قالوا يا أيها العزيز مسنا وأهلنا الضر وجئنا ببضاعة مزجاة فأوف لنا الكيل وتصدق علينا إن الله يجزي المتصدقين.
Then when they entered to him Joseph, they said, "O ruler of the land, a hard time has hit us and our family, and we have brought but poor capital. So pay us full measure and be charitable to us. Verily, Allah does reward the charitable."
قال هل علمتم ما فعلتم بيوسف وأخيه إذ أنتم جاهلون.
He said, "Do you know what you did with Joseph and his brother when you were ignorant?"
قالوا إنك لأنت يوسف قالوا أئنك لأنت يوسف قال أنا يوسف وهذا أخي قد من الله علينا إنه من يتق ويصبر فإن الله لا يضيع أجر المحسنين.
They said, "Are you indeed Joseph?" He said, "I am Joseph, and this is my brother Benjamin. Allah has indeed been gracious to us. Verily, he who fears Allah with obedience to him and is patient, then surely Allah makes not the reward of the good doers to be lost."
قالوا تالله لقد آثرك الله علينا وإن كنا لخاطئين.
They said, "By Allah, indeed Allah has preferred you to us, and we certainly have been sinners."
قال لا تثريب عليكم اليوم يغفر الله لكم وهو أرحم الراحمين.
He said, "No reproach on you this day. May Allah forgive you, and He is the most merciful of those who show mercy."
اذهبوا بقميصي هذا فألقوه على وجه أبي يأت بصيرا وأتوني بأهلكم أجمعين.
Go with this shirt of mine and cast it over the face of my father. He will become clear-sighted and bring me all your family.
ولما فصلت العير قال أبوهم إني لأجد ريح يوسف لولا أن تفندون.
And when the caravan departed, their father said, I do indeed feel the smell of Joseph. If only you think me not as an old person of weak mind.
قالوا تالله إنك لفي ضلالك القديم.
They said, by Allah, certainly you are in your old error.
فلما أن جاء البشير ألقاه على وجهه فارتد بصيرا قال ألم أقل لكم إني أعلم من الله ما لا تعلمون.
Then when the bearer of the glad tidings arrived, he cast the shirt over his face, and the father became clear-sighted. He said, did I not say to you, I know from Allah that which you do not?
قالوا يا أبانا استغفر لنا ذنوبنا إنا كنا خاطئين.
They said, O our father, ask forgiveness from Allah for our sins. Indeed, we have been sinners.
قال سوف أستغفر لكم ربي إنه هو الغفور الرحيم.
He said, I will ask my Lord for forgiveness for you. Verily he, only he is the most forgiving, the most merciful.
فلما دخلوا على يوسف آوى إليه أبويه وقال ادخلوا مصر إن شاء الله آمنين.
Then when they came in before Joseph, he took his parents to himself and said, enter Egypt, if Allah wills, in security.
ورفع أبويه على العرش وخروا له سجدا وقال يا أبت هذا تأويل رؤياي من قبل قد جعلها ربي حقا وقد أحسن بي إذ أخرجني من السجن وجاء بكم من البدو من بعد أن نزغ الشيطان بيني وبين إخوتي إن ربي لطيف لما يشاء إنه هو العليم الحكيم.
And he raised his parents to the throne, and they fell down before him prostrate. And he said, O my father, this is the interpretation of my dream before. My Lord has made it come true. He was indeed good to me when he took me out of the prison and brought you all here out of the Bedouin life, after Satan had sown enmity between me and my brothers. Certainly my Lord is the most courteous and kind to whom he wills. Truly he, only he, is the all-knowing, the all-wise.
رب قد آتيتني من الملك وعلمتني من تأويل الأحاديث فاطر السماوات والأرض أنت ولي في الدنيا والآخرة توفني مسلما وألحقني بالصالحين.
My Lord, You have indeed bestowed on me of the sovereignty and taught me something of the interpretation of dreams, the only creator of the heavens and the earth. You are my protector and supporter in this world and the hereafter. Cause me to die as a Muslim and join me with the righteous.
ذلك من أنباء الغيب نوحيه إليك وما كنت لديهم إذ أجمعوا أمرهم وهم يمكرون.
That is the news of the unseen that we reveal to you, O Muhammad. Peace and blessings be upon him. You were not present with them when they arranged their plan together and while they were plotting.
وما أكثر الناس ولو حرصت بمؤمنين.
And most of mankind will not believe, even if you desire it eagerly.
وما تسألهم عليه من أجر إن هو إلا ذكر للعالمين.
And no reward you, Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. Ask of them, those who deny your prophethood, for it. The Qur'an is no less than a reminder and an advice to all of the creation.
وكأين من آية في السماوات والأرض يمرون عليها وهم عنها معرضون.
And how many a sign in the heavens and the earth they pass by, while they are averse from them.
وما يؤمن أكثرهم بالله إلا وهم مشركون.
And most of them do not believe in Allah, except that they attribute partners to him.
أفأمنوا أن تأتيهم غاشية من عذاب الله أو تأتيهم الساعة بغتة وهم لا يشعرون.
Do they then feel secure from the coming against them or of the coveting? Do they then feel secure from the coming against them of the covering veil of the torment of Allah, or of the coming against them of the final hour, all of a sudden, while they are unaware?
قل هذه سبيلي أدعو إلى الله على بصيرة أنا ومن اتبعني وسبحان الله وما أنا من المشركين.
Say, O Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, this is my way. I invite to Allah, to his oneness, with sure knowledge, and I and whosoever follows me must also invite others to Allah, and glorified and exalted as Allah above all that they ascribe to him, and I am not of the polytheists.
وما أرسلنا من قبلك إلا رجالا نوحي إليهم من أهل القرى أفلم يسيروا في الأرض فينظروا كيف كان عاقبة الذين من قبلهم ولدار الآخرة خير للذين اتقوا أفلا تعقلون.
And we did not send any before you, any messengers, except there were men to whom we revealed revelation, from among the people of the townships. Have they not travelled in the land and seen what was the end of those who were before them? And verily the home of the hereafter is the best for those who fear Allah and obey him. Do you not then understand?
حتى إذا استيأس الرسل وظنوا أنهم قد كذبوا جاءهم نصرنا فنجي من نشاء ولا يرد بأسنا عن القوم المجرمين.
They were reprieved until when the messengers gave up hope and thought that they were denied by their people, then came to them our help, and whomsoever we willed were rescued. And our punishment cannot be warded off from the people who are polytheists and criminals.
لقد كان في قصصهم عبرة لأولي الألباب ما كان حديثا يفترى ولكن تصديق الذي بين يديه وتفصيل كل شيء وهدى ورحمة لقوم يؤمنون.
Indeed, in their stories, there is a lesson for men of understanding. It, the Qur'an, is not a forged statement, but a confirmation of Allah's existing books, which came before it, and the other scriptures of Allah, and a detailed explanation of everything, and a guide for and a mercy for a people who believe.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ألف لام ميم را تلك آيات الكتاب والذي أنزل إليك من ربك الحق ولكن أكثر الناس لا يؤمنون.
Chapter 13, the chapter of the thunder. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. Alif Lam Mim Ra. These letters are one of the miracles of the Qur'an, and none but Allah alone knows their meanings. These are the verses of the book, the Qur'an, and that which has been revealed to you, Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. That which has been revealed unto you from your Lord is the truth, but most men believe not.
الله الذي رفع السماوات بغير عمد ترونها ثم استوى على العرش وسخر الشمس والقمر كل يجري لأجل مسمى يدبر الأمر يفصل الآيات لعلكم بلقاء ربكم توقنون.
Allah is He who raised the heavens without any pillars that you can see. Then He rose over the throne in a manner that suits His majesty. He has subjected the sun and the moon to continue going round, each running its course for a term appointed. He manages and regulates all affairs. He explains the verses, evidences, and proofs in detail, that you may believe with certainty in the meeting with your Lord.
وهو الذي مد الأرض وجعل فيها رواسي وأنهارا ومن كل الثمرات جعل فيها زوجين اثنين يغشي الليل النهار إن في ذلك لآيات لقوم يتفكرون.
And it is He who spread out the earth and placed therein firm mountains and rivers, and of every kind of fruits He made two in pairs. He brings the night as cover over the day. Verily, in these things there are proofs and evidences for a people who reflect.
وإن تعجب فعجب قولهم أإذا كنا ترابا أإنا لفي خلق جديد أولئك الذين كفروا بربهم وأولئك الأغلال في أعناقهم وأولئك أصحاب النار هم فيها خالدون.
شيخ أحمد، أعتقد أننا تجاوزنا الآية الرابعة، أليس كذلك؟
أي نعم صحيح. وفي الأرض قطع متجاورات وجنات من أعناب وزرع ونخيل صنوان وغير صنوان يسقى بماء واحد ونفضل بعضها على بعض في الأكل إن في ذلك لآيات لقوم يعقلون.
أثابكم الله. And in the earth are neighboring tracts and gardens of vines and green crops and fields and date palms growing into 2 or 3 from a single stem root, or otherwise 1 stem root for every palm, watered with the same water, yet some of them we make more excellent than others to eat. Verily, in these things are proofs and evidences for the people who understand.
وإن تعجب فعجب قولهم أإذا كنا ترابا أإنا لفي خلق جديد أولئك الذين كفروا بربهم وأولئك الأغلال في أعناقهم وأولئك أصحاب النار هم فيها خالدون.
And if you, O Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, wonder at these polytheists who deny your message of monotheism and have taken besides Allah others for worship, then wondrous is their saying, when we are dust, shall we indeed then be raised in a new creation? They are those who disbelieved in their Lord. They are those who will have iron chains tying their hands to their necks. They will be the dwellers of the fire, to abide therein.
ويستعجلونك بالسيئة قبل الحسنة وقد خلت من قبلهم المثلات وإن ربك لذو مغفرة للناس على ظلمهم وإن ربك لشديد العقاب.
They ask you to hasten the evil before the good, while many exemplary punishments have occurred before them. But verily your Lord is full of forgiveness for mankind, despite their wrongdoing, and verily your Lord is also severe in punishment.
ويقول الذين كفروا لولا أنزل عليه آية من ربه إنما أنت منذر ولكل قوم هاد.
And the disbelievers say, why is not a sign sent down to him from his Lord? You are only a warner, and to every people there is a guide.
الله يعلم ما تحمل كل أنثى وما تغيض الأرحام وما تزداد وكل شيء عنده بمقدار.
Allah knows what every female bears, and by how much the wombs fall short of their time or number, or exceed, everything with him is in due proportion.
عالم الغيب والشهادة الكبير المتعال.
All knower of the unseen and the seen, the most great, the most high.
سواء منكم من أسر القول ومن جهر به ومن هو مستخف بالليل وسارب بالنهار.
It is the same to him, to Allah, whether any of you conceal their speech or declare it openly, whether they be hid by night or go forth freely by day.
له معقبات من بين يديه ومن خلفه يحفظونه من أمر الله. إن الله لا يغير ما بقوم حتى يغيروا ما بأنفسهم. وإذا أراد الله بقوم سوءا فلا مرد له وما لهم من دونه من وال.
For each person there are angels in succession, before and behind them. They guard him by the command of Allah. Verily Allah will not change the good condition of a people as long as they do not change their state of goodness themselves by committing sins and being ungrateful and disobedient to Allah. But when Allah wills a people's punishment, there can be no turning back of it, and they will find none besides him as a protector.
هو الذي يريكم البرق خوفا وطمعا وينشئ السحاب الثقال.
It is he who shows you the lightning as a fear for travelers, and as a hope for those who wait for rain. And it is he who brings up the clouds heavy with water.
ويسبح الرعد بحمده والملائكة من خيفته ويرسل الصواعق فيصيب بها من يشاء وهم يجادلون في الله وهو شديد المحال.
And thunder glorifies and praises him, and so do the angels because of his awe. He sends the thunderbolts, and therewith he strikes whom he wills. Yet they, the disbelievers, dispute about Allah, and he is mighty in strength and severe in punishment.
له دعوة الحق والذين يدعون من دونه لا يستجيبون له بشيء إلا كباسط كفيه إلى الماء ليبلغ فاه وما هو ببالغه وما دعاء الكافرين إلا في ضلال.
For Allah alone is the word of truth, and those whom the polytheists invoke besides him, they answer them no more than one who stretches forth their hand at the edge of a deep well for water, to reach their mouth, but it does not reach them, and the invocation of the disbelievers is nothing but an error.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
حيا الله فضيلة الشيخ الدكتور مسعد.
بارك الله فيكم، كيف حالكم؟ بخير.
حفظكم الله وبارك فيكم. المعذرة على التأخر عليكم. الله يحفظك
لا
ويبارك
بأس.
فيك.
أنا أعتذر عن التأخر.
لا أبدا، ما شاء الله وصول مبارك، وإن شاء الله عز وجل أن يفتح عليك ويبارك لك فيما
جزاكم الله
ستقول.
خير. الله يبارك فيك.
وحتى لا نأخذ من وقت الإخوة فنترككم بإذن الله تبدأون.
طيب، بسم الله. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره، ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له، ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدًا عبده ورسوله، أرسله الله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله ولو كره المشركون. فصلوات ربي وسلامه عليه وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين، ومن سار على نهجه واستنى بسنته إلى يوم الدين، وسلم تسليما كثيرا. أما بعد، فحديثي إليكم في جزئية محددة، وهي آثار الصوم على تهذيب السلوك. فأقول مستعينا بالله، متبركا به، متبرئا من الحول والقوة إلا به، إن ربنا تبارك وتعالى عليم حكيم، وهو الحي القيوم القائم بشؤون عباده، الذي شرع لهم من الشرائع ما يصلحهم ويسعدهم في أمور دينهم ودنياهم، وفي دنياهم وأخراهم. وأكمل ذلك وأتمه وأجمله وأشمله ما حوته شريعة الإسلام الخالدة. ومن المعلوم أن الشرائع السماوية كلها اتفقت على ما سماه العلماء بالكليات الخمس أو الضرورات الخمس، وهي حفظ الدين، وحفظ العقل، وحفظ المال، وحفظ النفس، وحفظ النسل أو العرض. وإذا نظرنا إلى هذه العبادة، وهي عبادة الصيام التي ننعم بها ونتفيأ ظلالها، نجد أنها من أبلغ العبادات التي تحقق حفظ الضرورات الخمس، ولها آثارها البالغة في تهذيب النفس البشرية والسلوك الإنساني. وسأذكر دلائل ذلك في ثنايا حديثي الآتي. نعم.
In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most beneficent, indeed all praises are due to Allah. We praise Him, we seek His aid, and we seek His forgiveness. We seek refuge with Allah from the evils of ourselves and the wickedness of our actions. Whomsoever Allah guides, there are none to misguide, and whomsoever Allah misguides, there are none to guide. And I bear witness that there is no deity worthy of worship in truth except for Allah. And I bear witness that Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, is his slave and messenger. And indeed Allah sent him with guidance and the true religion to make it manifest upon all the other religions. And I ask Allah to send and shower peace and blessings upon those who follow him from his companions and his wives and those who follow them to the day of resurrection. Tonight's lecture will be about a fine point as relates to fasting, and that's the impact or the effect of fasting on the refinement of an individual's character. And I seek aid in Allah the Most High in this goal, in delivering this lecture, and I place my reliance upon him. Firstly, it's important that we know and we realize that our Lord, he is the all-knowing, the all-wise, the all-living, the self-sufficient. And he is the one who has legislated for his slaves acts of worship. And he has legislated for them legislations that will rectify them and improve them in terms of their worldly lives and the hereafter, and also in terms of their religion. So the legislation, it completes and it improves the individual. And the best of these types of legislations is that which is encompassed within the Islamic legislation, al-Islam. And the Islamic legislation, when we look at it, it's one that's connected to Allah, and it includes the preservation of what are called the 5 rights. The 5 rights. The first is the preservation of the religion. The second, the preservation of the individual's mental faculties. The third, preservation of the people's wealth. The fourth, the preservation of the people's lives, meaning that their life is sacred and their lives are to be protected. There's sanctity to lives. And the fifth and final one is the preservation of the lineage. So the lineage of the individual, meaning to preserve the lineage through legitimate means of procreation. And if we look at this act of worship that we are in now, this act of worship that is fasting, and we contemplate it, we'll come to realize that it's from the most prolific types of worship that actualizes these 5 rights that Islam promotes. It actualizes them, and not only that, it has a great, deep effect upon the refinement of the individual's character. And I will explore the evidences and the points that come behind this in the following parts of tonight's lecture. نعم شيخنا.
فأولا الله تبارك وتعالى لما أوجب على عباده فريضة الصيام بين حكمة عظيمة، وهذه الحكمة هي تحقيق التقوى. فقال تعالى: يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون. والتقوى هي حجر الزاوية في تهذيب النفس البشرية، لأن التقوى تعني أن يتقي الإنسان ما يضره في دينه وما يضره في نفسه وعرضه وماله، يتقي المحارم كلها فلا يواقعها ولا يرتكب منها شيئا. ولهذا نبينا صلى الله عليه وسلم قال قولا هو كالبيان لقوله تعالى لعلكم تتقون، لما قال: والصوم جنة، أي وقاية وستر لك يا عبد الله من المحارم والمآثم. يقيك ماذا؟ أن تأكل الحرام، تفعل الحرام، تنطق بالحرام، تنظر إلى الحرام. هل هناك تهذيب للنفس البشرية أعظم من هذا لمن استحضر معنى الصيام؟ ولهذا قال صلى الله عليه وسلم: الصوم جنة، فإذا كان يوم صوم أحدكم فلا يرفث ولا يصخب، فإن سابه أحد أو قاتله فليقل إني صائم. لا يقول الرفث ولا يتكلم بالكلام السيء المحرم، ولا يسب ولا يشتم، حتى لا يقابل السيئة بمثلها. شوف معنا الله تعالى قال: وجزاء سيئة بمثلها. لكن لما كان الإنسان في هذا المقام السامي وهو مقام الصيام الذي لا عدل له، فإنه سمى إلى مرتبة ليس مرتبة المجازاة، وإنما مرتبة العفو والصفح والإحسان، وقوله إني صائم، حتى لا يرد السيئة بمثلها. فتجاوز العدل إلى ماذا؟ إلى الفضل والإحسان، وهذه مرتبة عليا. فإذا كان يوم صوم أحدكم فلا يرفث ولا يصخب، فإن سابه أحد أو قتله فليقل إني صائم، أنا متوشح متجمل متزين بهذه العبادة العظيمة التي تمنعني من أن أرد السيئة بمثلها. هذا سمو أخلاقي وتهذيب عظيم للنفس، يجب أن نفهمه ونعيه ونعقله. والذي لا يفهم هذا الأمر لا ينفعه أن يترك الطعام والشراب. الذي يترك الطعام والشراب ويسب ويشتم ويغتاب ويلعب القمار وينظر للمحرم ويأكل المحرم، الله تعالى ما أراد أن يمنعك من الطعام والشراب وأن تنهمك في المحرمات. ما يريد الله عز وجل هذا منك. ولهذا قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم: قال من لم يدع قول الزور، يعني الكلام الباطل، والعمل به، فليس لله حاجة في أن يدع طعامه وشرابه. إذا ما تركت المحرمات التي هي في الأصل محرمات، فالله تعالى غني عن أن تترك له الحرام الذي هو في الأصل كان حلالا، لكن حرمه الله عز وجل لحكمة في وقت محدد. فهذا أثر عظيم يحققه لنا الصيام. نعم.
So the first of these is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made fasting obligatory for a great reason and for a great wisdom that he has explained. And that is for the actualization of God consciousness, this principle of being aware of Allah that leads to the slave obeying his command. And this is where Allah the Most High said, O you who have believed, fasting has been prescribed upon you as it was prescribed upon those who came before you, so that you may fear him or be aware of him. And this principle of awareness of Allah, this is at the center of refinement of the character. The person, they take care and they protect themselves from those things that will harm them in terms of their religion, in terms of their lives, in terms of their honor, in terms of their wealth, in terms of all of those things that could harm them from those things that are impermissible. So they're aware of these things and they are careful of these things, which leads them to leave off these things. And for this reason, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, he said, and it's as though he was explaining the portion of the verse where Allah says, so that you may be conscious of Allah. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, indeed, fasting is a shield, i.e., it screens or it shields the individual from committing sin. It shields them from committing sin, so that the individual, they won't look at that which is impermissible, or they will not use their hand to do that which is impermissible, nor will they look at that which is impermissible. And if you look at it in reality, is there any refinement of character that is better and more clear than this? If and this is under the condition, if the individual, while refraining from these things, they have their intention present, that they're doing it for the sake of Allah. And the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, when it is the day of the fasting of one of you, then do not let them partake in foul speech, nor should they raise their voice. And if someone argues with them, or curses or reviles them, then they should say, indeed, I am fasting. So this is the state of the fasting person. They do not reciprocate evil speech or abusive speech with abusive speech. While, as the norm is, it's their right to do so, that they can repel an evil with an evil of its like. However, their state of being in a state of fasting, this is a lofty status, and it shows that they have raised and they've risen above the station and the rank of reciprocation to the station and the rank of being good or being benevolent to others. So they are more lofty than reciprocating, and it's as though they are saying that they are beautifying themselves with this great, beautiful act of worship. And this is a great way to refine one's character. And the individual who doesn't understand this and doesn't leave off doing these things that are impermissible, then it's not fitting for them, and it's not necessary for them to leave off their food and drink. So if they do not leave off those things that are impermissible, then there is no benefit for them fasting. And the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, whosoever does not leave off foul speech and action and acting upon it, then indeed Allah has no need or no inclination for that individual to leave off their food and drink. So whosoever does not protect themselves from these things that are impermissible, then Allah has no need for them to leave off their food and drink. So we can see that this act of worship, this fasting, it has a great impact, and it has a great effect upon the refinement of the individual's character.
نعم.
نعم شيخنا.
ثانيا الصيام يضبط الإنسان في تصرفاته ويربي فيه صفة الصبر والتحمل، ولهذا يسمى شهر رمضان شهر الصبر. ولهذا قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم صوم شهر الصبر، صوم شهر الصبر يعني رمضان، وثلاثة أيام من كل شهر تذهب وحر الصدر. وحر الصدر يعني إيش؟ يعني تذهب منه غله ووساوسه وأكداره وما يكدره. فالصيام يعلم الإنسان التحمل والصبر، فيصبر على الطاعة حيث أمره الله بهذه الطاعة، طاعة الإمساك، يمسك، ويصبر عن المحرمات، حرم الله عز وجل عليه الأكل والشرب والجماع في النهار، يمسك، ويصبر على أقدار الله، يصبر على ألم الجوع والعطش. والصبر من الإيمان بمنزلة الرأس من الجسد، والإيمان شكر وصبر، فهو نصف الإيمان، وبالصبر تحلو الحياة ويتعايش الإنسان معها، كما جاء عن عمر رضي الله عنه أنه قال: وجدنا أطيب عيشنا بالصبر، وإلا والله بدون الصبر ما تستقيم الحياة. الحياة ما تخلو من أكدار، من مسؤوليات ومن هموم، لا بد من صبر. فالصيام يهذب سلوك النفس البشرية ليكون الصبر عندها ثقافة وصفة راسخة فيها في جميع شؤونها، ينطلق من الصيام حتى يكون الصبر معه في جميع شؤون حياته، فيجد الحياة السعيدة، فيصبر حينئذ على ما يواجه من المجتمع، يصبر على زوجته، يصبر على أولاده، يصبر على زملائه. تعلم من أين؟ تعلم من الصيام. ثم مما يعمق هذا الخلق ما له من أجر عند الله عز وجل: إنما يوفى الصابرون أجرهم بغير حساب. بغير حساب يعني ليس الحسنة بعشر أمثالها هنا، لا، الحسنة بعشر أمثالها غير الصيام. أما الصيام فكما قال الله عز وجل: إلا الصوم فإنه لي وأنا أجزي به. تكفل رب العزة والجلال الكريم المنان أن يجزي به، وكما يقال: العطية على قدر معطيها. فإذا تكفل الغني الكريم سبحانه وتعالى بأجر الصائمين فحسبك بذلك فضلا وأجرا لا يقادر قدره إلا من تكفل به سبحانه. نعم.
بارك الله فيكم شيخنا. Second point is that fasting, it encourages the person and it trains them in a good way, and it trains them to develop the practice of having patience and having forbearance, that they can take a load. And the month of Ramadan, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, called it the month of patience, where he said, if you fast the month of patience, meaning the month of Ramadan, and then you follow it up by fasting 3 fasts each and every month, then you will find that the heaviness and the whisperings in your chest will subside. It will be a cure for those things and those ailments that you feel within your chest. So through fasting, the individual learns and develops practically patience, forbearance, obedience to Allah, and they have patience over those things that Allah, the Most High, has made forbidden for them during this state of fasting, from food, drink, and relations. And they have patience upon the decree of Allah, where they feel the effects of hunger and they feel the effects of fasting. And patience is central to the individual, to the extent where it's been said that it's like the head as relates to the body. And it's also been said that faith, half of it is giving thanks and the other half of it is having patience. And it was reported that Omar, may Allah be pleased with him, he said, indeed, we found our best life and our best living was when, or was with and through having patience. And this is because life is such that there are always issues that are going to crop up. There's always going to be something, some difficulty, some setback. And it's absolutely necessary that throughout all of this, the individual has patience. And patience, it's a fixed, ongoing characteristic of the person who fasts. And likewise, patience is a fixed characteristic that is necessary in the life of this world, whereby the individual, they have to have patience upon their partner and upon their children and upon their wider family, and patience upon their colleagues. So this fasting, it develops this extent and this degree of patience. And then on top of this, that which deepens the individual's forbearance and their patience while they're fasting is that which they consider as relates to the reward of their Lord, the reward that He has prepared for them in the hereafter, whereby Allah the Most High said, indeed, the reward of those who are patient will be given without any limit or without any fixed apportioning. So the good deed, where it's multiplied from 10 to 700 times, that's not applicable here. Rather, fasting, Allah the Most High says it is for Him and He will give the reward for it. So, and it's said that the giving is, the gifting of something is proportionate to the status of the giver. So what do you think about the gifting and the giving and the recompensing of Allah, who is the most rich and the most high? نعم شيخ.
ثالثا الصيام يعمق المراقبة في قلب العبد، المراقبة لله تبارك وتعالى، لأن الصيام من العبادات التي يتحقق فيها الإخلاص، فهو سر بين العبد وبين ربه. ولهذا قال الله تبارك وتعالى إلا الصوم فإنه لي وأنا أجزي به، لأن الإنسان يخلو بنفسه لا يطلع عليه إلا الله عز وجل، لكنه لا يأكل ولا يشرب. لماذا؟ لأنه يراقب الله عز وجل. بل أصل الصيام النية، فيمكن للإنسان ألا ينوي الصيام لكنه ينوي بقلبه ويعقد العزم بقلبه ليقبل الله عز وجل منه صيامه. فإذا استفاد الإنسان هذا الدرس العظيم من الصيام، وهو مراقبة الله عز وجل في صيامه، ثم بعد هذا سحب هذا المعنى على حياته كلها، فهو يراقب الله عز وجل في أعماله وتصرفاته، حينما يكون لوحده في خلوته، أو حينما يكون بين الناس في جلوته، وحينما يتعامل مع الناس، وفي كل حين فهو مراقب لله تبارك وتعالى، فإنه سيسلم ويسعد ويسلم الناس منه، وينتشر حينئذ الأمن والطمأنينة في المجتمع، لأن سلوك أفراده قد تهذبت بالصيام، فتحقق عندهم ماذا؟ مراقبة الله عز وجل. ونحن عندنا في منظورنا أن المكان الذي يكون فيه رجال أمن يضبطون الناس في تصرفاتهم وأمورهم، هذا يكون الأمن فيه مستتبا. فكيف إذا كان كل إنسان يشعر أن ربه تبارك وتعالى مراقبه في كل مكان، لا يحتاج إلى رقيب. وهذه المراقبة تثمر له ماذا؟ أن يعمل الخير ويترك الشر. فانظر كيف تكون حياة مجتمع أفراده يستحضرون هذا المعنى، وهو مراقبة الله عز وجل، مراقبة الله عز وجل الذي لا يخفى عليه منك خافية. فأنت إذن في كل مكان تراقب الله عز وجل. فهذا تهذيب عظيم للسلوك وفائدة عظيمة للصيام. حينما نستحضرها في حياتنا كلها نسلم ويسلم منا الخلائق. نعم.
The third point is that fasting develops consciousness within the heart of the slave of their Lord, so that they feel their Lord's presence and they act accordingly. And this is because fasting in and of itself, it's an act of worship that actualizes and encourages sincerity, as it is considered a secret between the slave and their Lord. And this is as Allah says, except for fasting, for indeed it is for me, and I will give its reward. So no one knows except for Allah that the individual is actually fasting. That it's true, they give up their food and their drink, but they are able to go and hide in secret and eat and drink, but they do not do this. Why do they not do this? It's due to their awareness of Allah within their heart, and their awareness that this is something that will be that He will not be pleased with. And fasting in and of itself, actually, in and of itself, it lends itself, because it compromises, or it's made up of the intention of the individual. The individual might even not intend to fast. They may be leaving off their food, but what's within their heart is not to actually fast. And when this consciousness of Allah is actualized within the individual and then it spreads, this has a great impact upon the wider environment and the wider society, such that tranquility and order descend upon those people. And when you look at it, there are places that are in need of police and those who regulate the security. But how is it if the individuals, individuals from the community, they were to feel awareness of Allah the Most High, and this would lead them to do the things that He ordered and stay off from those things that He prohibited. If this were the case, then the people and the society wouldn't be in need of those who protected them and those who sorted out their matters and their affairs. And yes, and in actual fact, this consciousness of Allah within the heart, it has an impact upon the individual in their wider life. So when they do this and when they're aware of Allah the Most High, the benefit that they will gain in their wider life is that their wider life will be contented and will be happy. They will be safe in their lives, and others will be safe from them.
رابعا، الصيام يربي في النفس البشرية الشعور بالآخرين، ويحقق التكافل الاجتماعي. حينما تصوم وتشعر بالجوع والعطش بطوعك واختيارك، اعلم أن هناك من يشعر بالجوع والعطش رغما عنه. وإذا كنت أن تمسك عن الطعام وتشعر بالجوع في النهار، فهناك من يجوع ليلا ونهارا. فشعورك بالجوع وألم الجوع أو حرقة الجوع يجعلك تقدر حال الجوع في مجتمعك والمجتمعات الأخرى، فتعطف عليهم وترحمهم وتتصدق عليهم. وأيضا النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال: من فطر صائما فله مثل أجره. شوف، من فطر صائما فله مثل أجره. هذا الترغيب أيضا في تحقيق لهذا المعنى، أنك تشعر بالآخرين وتفطرهم، تطعمهم من طعامك. فحينما يهذب الإنسان نفسه بهذا المعنى الشعوري الجميل بالآخرين ويستصحب هذا في حياته كلها، يكون عضوا نافعا في مجتمعه. أصلحه ماذا؟ أصلحه الصيام، هذه العبادة العظيمة. نعم.
The fourth point is that it develops and it cultivates a feeling of empathy with others, such that the society, it feels the hunger and the thirst and the need of others. And this will lead them to support others who are feeling hunger and thirst. And they realize and they feel the fact that there are those who feel this in a real way. And when they fast and they feel this during the day, and during the night they can eat and drink, but they feel and they realize that there are those from amongst their brethren, their brothers and their sisters, who feel this way and who have this lack of food and drink day and night. And these are individuals who may be within their own communities or outside their communities. And this will result in them lowering their wing to them, giving charity to them, feeding them. And the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, whosoever feeds the fasting person, then indeed they will have the reward equal to the reward of that person, i.e. they will have the reward of the fast of that person without their reward being diminished in any sense. So it creates a feeling of empathy with others, and in this manner it refines the individual's character, and this is something that's transferable. So they have this empathy throughout their whole life, throughout all aspects of their life, and it will lead to them becoming better members of society, and it would be, or they would be better members of society as a result of having fasted and actualized the meaning of fasting.
الخامس وأختم به أن الصيام يضبط الإنسان من الناحية الجنسية والأخلاقية، ولهذا يقول النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم: يا معشر الشباب من استطاع منكم الباءة فليتزوج. والباءة يعني الكلفة، كلفة الزواج ومؤونة الزواج. من استطاع منكم الباءة فليتزوج فإنه أغض للبصر وأحصن للفرج. يعني الزواج يساعده على غض بصره فلا ينظر للمحرمات من النساء، ويمنع فرجه من الزنا، فإنه أغض للبصر وأحصن للفرج. ومن لم يستطع، ما عنده قدرة، فعليه بالصوم فإنه له وجاء. يعني الصوم يكسر شدته وحدته وسورته حتى يهدى فلا يفكر في الأشياء الجنسية. فهذا تهذيب للنفس البشرية من هذه الناحية. وأيضا الصيام به يمتنع الإنسان عن مواقعة أهله في النهار، فيضبط نفسه من الجماع في النهار. جماع من؟ جماع زوجته التي هي في الأصل حلال له، لكن من أجل الصيام امتنع عنها في النهار. فيستفيد من هذا أن يمتنع من باب أولى عما هو محرم في الأصل، لأن المرأة زوجته هي في الأصل حلال، لكن من أجل هذه العبادة أمر أن يكف ويمتنع في النهار. فإذا كان هذا وهي زوجته وامتنع طاعة لله عز وجل، فمن باب أولى أن يمتنع عن جماع من لم تحل له بحال ما لم يعقد عليها، وهن النساء الأجنبيات. فهذا تهذيب عظيم للنفس البشرية يحققها لها الصيام. نعم.
The fifth point is that, and this will be our final point for tonight, is that fasting, it controls and it regulates the desires of the individuals, and refines their character as relates to it. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, he said, "O youth, whosoever amongst you has the financial capacity and capability, then let them get married. For indeed, it is better for their eye, and it is more chaste for the private part. And whosoever cannot do this, they do not have the financial means, then upon them is fasting. For indeed, it is a shield for them." So fasting, it breaks this desire that the individual has for having relations, and to the extent that they do not think about such things when they are fasting. And from the examples of how it purifies an individual's character is that the having relations with one's wife during the day of Ramadan, this is something that the individual is cautious about and stays away from, because it's something that is impermissible for them. And this is the act with their wife, who, or their partner, who is legitimately permissible for them to have such relations with. However, with it being Ramadan, this is something that is now not permissible. So with this being the case, with the individual staying away from those who are permissible, in essence, then they will stay away from those and refrain from those who are impermissible. It's more likely that they'll stay away from those who are impermissible, because they're staying away from those who are permissible. So we see that it contains a great character development in controlling the desires of the individual.
نعم، هذه بعض آثار الصوم على تهذيب السلوك، وللصوم آثار أخرى عظيمة، لكن لعل فيما ذكرت كفاية، ولا أريد أن أطيل عليكم أكثر من هذا، فأسأل الله تبارك وتعالى لي ولكم القبول، ونسأل الله تبارك وتعالى أن يعفو عنا وعنكم، وأن يتقبل منا ومنكم، ويجعلنا وإياكم ممن صام رمضان وقامه إيمانا واحتسابا. وجزاكم الله خيرا. وأنت أخي المترجم أو المترجمين، جزاكم الله خيرا، لأني أنا أرتاح بين فقرة وفقرة، وأما أنتم لا ترتاحون، مرة تسمعون وتكتبون ومرة تترجمون، فجزاكم الله خيرا. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
شكر الله لكم فضيلة الشيخ الدكتور مسعد حسيني، وكتب الله أجرك وأعظم مثوبتك على هذه الكلمات النافعة، ونسأل الله عز وجل ينفعنا جميعا بها ويثقل بها موازين حسناتكم يوم القيامة.
آمين.
وإياكم. شكرا شيخ محمد، جزاك الله خير.
الله يحفظكم ويبارك فيكم.
السلام عليكم. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام الله وبركاته.
حياكم الله شيخنا، بارك فيكم، أثابكم الله لهذه الكلمات والمحاضرة القيمة.
استودعكم الله الذي لا تضيع ودائعه.
Allah يبارك فيكم. السلام عليكم. So our Sheikh then said these are some of the impacts and the effects that fasting has on the character and conduct of the individual, and there are more and there are additional impacts and effects, but I think that in that which I have brought forward and put, there is sufficiency, because I don't want to go on for too long and keep you longer than I already have. And I ask Allah the Most High to accept from me and accept from you our fasting and our praying during this month. And I ask Him to have mercy and pardon upon us, just as I ask Him to make us from those who stand Ramadan and fast Ramadan, having faith in Allah and seeking Allah's reward. And may Allah shower peace and blessings and salutations upon the Prophet Muhammad and upon his family and companions to the day of resurrection. Oh, and the Sheikh also said that he would like to thank the translators due to their efforts tonight as well.
Okay, Jazakallah khair. Jazakallah khair, everybody. Thank you again, Sheikh Badar from Kuwait. We'll see you again, inshallah, tomorrow. Akil, Jazakallah khairan. Sheikh Muhammad al-Maliki, Jazakallah khairan. And inshallah, we'll meet again tomorrow, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Yeah, Tom, you remember the Lives of the Prophets? Lives of the Prophets, not Lives of the Prophets, what am I talking about? 40 Hadith. You started the 40 Hadith for me. Can you hear me?
Last year?
Yeah, last year you done the 40 Hadith.
Yeah.
What it is, I'm looking for number 2. You done 16, isn't it? You didn't get to finish it. You done from 1 to 16.
Yeah.
Like, could I get number 2? Do you still have it? I got it to 16, but I can't find number 2.
Just look on. I think I wiped everything from my laptop because I've changed laptops. Let me just see if it's there or not.
Okay, I'll text you then because I think we're still alive. I'll text you or WhatsApp you.
Okay, I'll see if I can find it. It might still be on the emails.
Okay, inshallah. Okay, cool.